Celtic had their biggest transfer window ever this summer, with record transfers for players sold and record money spent on incoming players. But the main transfer saga that all Celtic fans were watching out for was who was going to be the big money replacement for Matt O'Riley after his departure to Brighton. But the manager's words at the time were very, very clear. If we did sell O'Riley, we were going to need two midfielders because there was a current imbalance in the squad. And by the manager's estimations, the guys that we currently had on the books were probably going to go out, and we would need someone else that could come in, that could fit into the style of play, keep the level where it's at, and someone that, would really know the game, know the league, and be able to be someone that Celtic could call upon throughout the season to, carry the workload in the midfield, because our midfield works so hard on the ball and off the ball. And that second midfielder ended up being Luke McCowan from Dundee. Now, Luke McCowan is a player that we were very familiar with here on the Celtic side here. Is probably one of the better players across the division at actually playing against us, and a guy that had a style of play that was so clearly one that would fit into our midfield. And it's safe to say, with 4 sub appearances off the bench already, he's won over a lot of Celtic fans that maybe didn't really have much of an opinion on him, or were maybe a bit naysaying towards this transfer actually moving the squad on. In the video today, we're going to have a much closer look at Luke McCowan. What does he actually offer in midfield? What have we seen from him so far? And, what can we expect to see from him as the season rolls on? At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and get into the comment section of this one and let me know, has Luke McCowan went above and beyond your expectations, or is he a player that you did see yourself at Dundee and think, yeah, that's a guy that could add into our squad? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section of this one. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Because midfield is where I enjoy spending some extra focus, some extra attention when it comes to watching Celtic or football in general. For me, the midfield really is, for most teams, the real make or break of any success they're going to have. And it's a great area of the pitch to examine and watch out to see what are the manager's instructions, what are the tactics of the team, what's the shape they're trying to deploy to go on and attack and win matches, off the ball defensively, and everything else in between. And from what we've seen from the best 11, the first choice midfield so far, and Captain Callum McGregor, Arne Engels, and probably still Rio Hatate, is we've got 3 very distinctively different styles and profiles of midfield here. And when you have guys like that, the second string that you're going to call upon from the bench, you're going to rotate in to manage minutes as the season goes on, either needs to be complete doppelgangers, guys that can just copy and paste and do the same job, or they have to be guys that are a bit more of a Swiss Army knife. They can turn their hand to a few different roles in midfield depending on who's been rotated or what adjustments are being made in the squad. And for me, Luke McCowan is somewhere in the middle of those two things, because what we've seen from him at Dundee, whenever they were playing Celtic especially, is he was very comfortable and very capable in that more of a Rio Hatate kind of position. If we look at the way the Dundee midfield was built over the last couple of years, they like to have a midfield three with that deep lying controller, whether it be like a Silla or a Boateng or whatever, and then the other midfielders were allowed to go and support the strikers and counter attack, try and win the ball, and play it out wide for like Beck or some of these other guys have had over the last year or two. And he's the only player I think we currently have in the squad, and he's one of the very few players that I think we could have clearly brought in that has that same energy, has that same kind of tempo to his game that Rio Hatate does. He's happy to join in with the front line to give a bit of a press, but he's not shy in coming back into his own area to try and win and turn the ball over, and then being really clever in possession. And I think it's no surprise that in almost, if not every appearance we've had for Luke McCowan, this is the role that he's been deployed in, to come on for Engels, to come on for Hatate, and support the forward line, help them continue to go forward and attack, whether we're winning the match comfortably or whether it's been a bit tighter. And it shouldn't be a surprise that he's going to be able to contribute for us in the final third. Throughout his last kind of 6 months, especially at Dundee, he hit some really good form, bagging a lot of goals, getting a lot of assists for himself. And there has been a bit of speculation that he could come in to cover for Callum McGregor, to do that baseline controller role. And if you're going to do that kind of job, he's definitely got the final third presence. We've already seen enough of that, certainly. And he has played in that role fleetingly when he was at Dundee before. But I think this game at home to Hibs here kind of further highlights a lot of the credentials that he does bring into midfield, no matter what position he would be asked to play. He's rated 80 out of 100 here without getting any goals or any assists. And he's got such an incredible rating in this match because he's won 4 tackles, won 11 duels, only losing 3, so that's 8 positive duels, 1 interception, a nice amount of passes here for a game where they've ultimately lost 2-1. And again, even in this kind of harder match where it is a bit more, cut, nip and tuck and all the rest of it, 4 shots on target, 3 contests won, which is like a dribble where he drives by somebody, 7 balls into the box, 3 attempted assists. This is a guy that is doing absolutely everything in midfield, whether it be in that forward section and as well getting back and making sure that the team are tight and compact. And, if he's man-to-man with someone, he's winning his duel, he can win his tackle, and then he can carry and drive the ball up the pitch and play someone else in. And that style of midfielder, of a guy that can just roam around these different areas of the pitch and be equally as effective, whether they are joining in the front press or whether they're trying to get the ball out from the back, maybe trying to resist some pressure from the opposition, is very, very valuable for us. Whether he is going to eventually become a first team player or not, I think is yet to be seen. Time will tell on that one. But certainly for the sort of role and the sort of job that he has for within the squad, we could play him in the McGregor role, I would say, in like some of the cup games against lesser opponents, or some of those games after a European hangover, or against like the bottom teams in the league. And because, again, this guy was captain at Dundee, he's a guy that has some of those leadership qualities, those leadership credentials, that coming in for McGregor probably wouldn't be, a bad replacement or a bad guy to rotate him with. And really looking at the rest of the squad, it is kind of hard to imagine who else you would use here. Paulo Bernardo we'll talk about on another video. But Luke McCowan for me really is I would say he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife player, because I think he could play in all three positions in midfield here, but he is very distinctly a high energy, all action midfielder that I expect we're going to continue to see supporting the front line here, coming in to carry minutes for the likes of Hatate and for Engels to help get minutes over the line. But transfers like this always excite me as a Celtic fan, because I grew up with an all Scottish midfield of Paul Lambert and Craig Burley and McStay and Peter Grant and, all these types of guys. And then even later on, the likes of Paul Hartley, Barry Robson. For me, there's always like a good Scottish Celtic midfielder that's maybe not, I know we've got McGregor that's came through the academy, but normally we're trying to bring these people in from somewhere. And it feels like for me, McCowan kind of embodies that persona, embodies that personality of, like, he is at the peak of his powers. He's in his mid-20s. He's done the hard yards elsewhere, and he's earned the move to Celtic. Obviously, we all know he's a Jungle Jim. He's one of us and all the rest of it. And you can see how much he loves being at the club. And I think we've all seen that JD Sports interview where he was saying he was almost crying, being told that he was going to be moving to Celtic. And as much as all the on-pitch stuff that I've spoke about already in the video is like of the utmost importance, in the Celtic squad, you do want guys that bleed green and white. You want guys that know what it means to play for the club, and really no matter what the job is they're asked to do, they're more than happy to. And this is something that I've been quite happy with the squad construction over the last couple of years, like tying down Ralston to a big contract, keeping Forrest around for as long as we have. And even no matter what we end up doing with left back, I would hate to see Taylor leave at this stage, to be honest with you. And I think Welsh and Bain are maybe a wee bit more of like the meme of like this kind of thing. But what you want is actual guys that can play a meaningful role in the squad. And Luke McCowan for me is head and shoulders, I think, the best second string midfielder that we've got. And subsequently, that probably brings him closer to maybe breaking into the starting 11. And as I've said that, some of you have maybe spat out your tea or your coffee or whatever, because I know a lot of Celtic fans are huge O Bernardo fans. But for me, Paul O Bernardo is maybe just a little bit more one-dimensional than Luke McCowan. Luke McCowan, for me, can go box to box a lot better, can pass forward, can't properly attack. Now, I know Bernardo scores goals and he's made assists and stuff like that, but when you watch him, like, it's not his natural game. It's not something that he takes to the pitch and that's the way he wants to play. That's his style. For me, actually, Bernardo is a lot more of McGregor. He's a guy who wants to play deep, wants to play those easy passes, wants to knit the play. And I say that's fine. We'll talk about Bernardo on another time. But for me, McCowan is the most well-rounded of all the midfielders that we've got here in the kind of the second string, as it were. And he's a guy that I think we could see playing for Celtic for the next 4, 5, 6 years in this kind of role. Of maybe sometimes he'll be best 11 caliber, but the majority of time he will be a squad player. He will be a guy that comes in for minute management and covering for injuries, fixture pile-ups, all this kind of thing. And like I mentioned there with some of the other Scottish players we've got in the squad, like if you've got guys that are that good and are happy to be a part of the squad and do their bit, do their role, to be a part of history at Celtic, they are just as important as the best 11, because those are the guys that help keep the level super high. And ultimately, they end up becoming the ones that when the chips are down, they're the guys that come in clutch because they're preparing to be the hero on that blue moon kind of event, as it were. So I think Luke McCowan has kind of met my expectations for what we expected from him from when we seen him at Dundee coming into Celtic in the brief minutes that we've had now. But I thought I'd make this video because I hear a lot of Celtic fans in the comment sections and replying to Twitter posts and whatever talking about how surprised they are about Luke McCowan, and maybe can he get somebody like Hatate out the team? Can he cover for McGregor? Some of the stuff we spoke about in the video today. So I thought let's just have a look at it, because the best is only yet to come. This is his Celtic career to this point in the league and in the Champions League. No Champions League appearances yet, of course. We are talking about the thick end of 60 minutes on the pitch there with a goal, which was nice against Hearts. It's obviously 2-0, just makes that victory a little bit more comfortable. And I wouldn't be surprised if once we get into the festive period, we see Luke McCowan rack up a bunch of starts, and he's already got 1 goal already. I could easily see this guy finishing the season out with half a dozen goals and a couple of assists to go on top. And then you're really looking at a guy that is in the squad that's mainly coming from the bench, mainly second string, that is a genuine contributor to goals, to assists, to wins, to points, to glory in the end. So I think Luke McCowan, this sort of business we should be looking to do as often as possible where appropriate. And I think, you know, this is a transfer that, like I've mentioned already, we've seen from when we've played Dundee that he is a very capable operator in the league. And if you can get a guy like that on board to play this kind of role in the squad, you only lift the level of the squad. So I've been really happy with the start that Luke McCowan's made, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else is to come from him across the season. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts and feelings on screen. And now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Hail, hail, Mon the Hoops.